Hey, this is Chase with Alabama Tractor Pickers. We're back in chasing tractors once again with a 1950 Ford 8N. This is part 2 of the video series. We discovered we had a head gasket failure, and you can see by the pictures that we have water and oil mixed, and upon further inspection, we have a damaged cylinder head. Well, I wasn't sure if the head had been shaved before, but I felt like since the valve was getting into the head, it was just probably best to go ahead and replace that cylinder head. You know how they say once you get the hood off, it just snowballs from there. I also went ahead and placed the water pump, and well, just sit back and relax and watch the video. You're really going to see the old adage, while the hood is off, prove to be true. Enjoy the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right, so the tractor's sent back from sandblasting. And as you can see, it turned out really, really well. I may be able to blow this off, take the masking out, and take the masking off and blow it off really good. Tractor's going to paint up really nicely. We're replacing the steering wheel and all the gauges. We're not worried about that. And I'm going to replace these lines, these copper lines, with the factory bent ones. So everything turned out really nice. Here's the grill. Got some straightening to do on that. Not too much. I'm going to go ahead and prime it though. Here's how the hood turned out. The hood looks really good. Got some straightening and some body work to do on that. Had just a little bit of rust around the bottom there. And had a little bit there. But that's nothing that a little filler won't fix. It's just cosmetic around the bottom edge. This side looks really good. So excited to get this project done and see how it turns out. So let's go ahead and get this tractor unmasked, blown off, wiped down, and remasked. And then let's shoot some primer. My primer is an epoxy primer. It's white. That white color will make that red on the tractor. It'll make the red pop and be really rich. The epoxy primer I'm using has a flash time of about 15 minutes, so I will be able to shoot color immediately after applying the primer. But we'll see how it goes. So here we go. I want to show you guys what I'm using here. Of course, I've got my paint mask. I recommend everybody use one of these if you're going to be painting any kind of enamels. It's fine to use it with even spray paint, so you're not breathing it and getting it in your nose. I've got brand new cartridges there, vapor cartridges, and the hardener, the catalyst. It's very hard on your lungs and your body, so you need to wear a mask anytime you're using any type of catalyst or hardener with your paints. So I'm using this epoxy primer. I got it in white because white will really make the red color pop, and it'll be a deeper, richer red. This primer mixes 1-to-1 with a catalyst. This is a catalyst for the primer, and you mix it 1-to-1. And there may be a way to reduce it. I need to read the label to see. Sometimes that's with acetone, but we'll read the label and get that mixed up just like we need it. This primer, I was told, I've never used it, but I was told this epoxy primer is safe to use over paint. It's safe to use over bare metal, of course. And you can paint it, you can prime it, and if you have to go back and do body work, you can do that. And then before you paint over it, once it's sat up at least 24 hours, you need to scuff it with a Scotch-Brite pad or some light sandpaper before you apply any kind of other primer or more primer or paint. But this primer will flash. It will set up. By the time I have shot the primer on it, it should flash, within 5 minutes, or just until it gets a little tacky. I could go back and put a second coat if I want. But the auto body shop said this stuff should flash and be ready for color. Here, it should be ready for color paint within 15 minutes. So that's pretty exceptional. So that means you should be able to do it in one day. The hardest part is getting the tractor set up, cleaned, masked. That's the hardest part, or the part that takes the longest. Once you're there, you can prime it, you can go and paint within 15 minutes. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm using a Tisco paint. It's just an alkyd enamel. It's a better alkyd enamel than most. I think this paint should hold up and not fade like the Magic paint or some of the others. It will fade over time, but it should hold up for what we're doing just fine. This tractor's going to be in a building, and it should be just fine. So I like the Tisco paint myself. I also like the paint made by Valspar tractor paint. It's a pretty good enamel, and if you want to spend a little more money, about $200 a gallon, you could go with an acrylic enamel from the auto body shop. They actually had some pre-mixed in the same red. I didn't know they had it on the shelf. It was a little less than $200 a gallon, but I'll probably try it next time. I've just used that before with good results, so we're going to be using that. Another thing, these are worth their weight in gold. These lids, they just simply take the place of the regular lid. They clamp on, and then you're good to go. They stay on there until you run out of paint. Then you can swap them over, and they have this pour spout, and that's what's worth its weight in gold when you're trying to mix, because you're trying to get precise measurements with your paint reducer and hardener, and it's impossible to pour out of a paint can and be precise without one of these. So I have at least 4 or 5 of these on the main colors that I use, and this one's no different. It's a little bit different design, but they're actually were made for the mechanical mixers, the motorized mixers in paint stores, but the others I have a hand crank, manual hand crank, but this one, I took the little plastic gear off of it, and then this one just has this, but I made this out of key stock in a grinder, and it fits right down in there, just like that. And then what I'll do is I'll take my drill and then mix my paint. I did have the paint shook. You should always shake your paint using a professional paint shaker. But this is really good. Just mix it before you pour it up. It doesn't hurt. And every now and then when it's on the shelf in storage, it doesn't hurt to mix it up just so it keeps it fluid. So these are really handy. That's actually called a mixing mate, I think. I think that's what that's called. So got that, got my mixing cups and my strainer. You always strain your paint. Always strain your paint. Got the paint gun. I've got another paint gun. This is just a cheap Harbor Freight purple gun. They're about 20 bucks. I love the disposable cups. When I'm done, I can just take the cup, dump it, wipe it out, throw some lacquer thinner in it, clean my gun, throw the cup away. Always use the new cup with the lacquer thinner when I'm cleaning it, and put it up, and you've got a fresh cup. Masking paper, tape, more mixing cups, acetone, lacquer thinner. That is a necessity to have. There's my hardener, my catalyst for my color paint, and then there's my reducer for my color paint. Notice I'm using slow reducer. The hotter it is, the slower you want that paint to flash, because if you don't, you will end up with thick paint. It'll give you fish eyes, and it will give you orange peel. So just be careful when you're doing this. This is 90-degree weather, low 90s, so I'm using a slow reducer. If it's colder weather, a lot less humid and colder, you can use a fast reducer. So just a little bit about the paint that I'm using, and can't wait for the finished product. Okay, so I've gotten the tractor pretty much blown off really good, everything unmasked that I could find from the sandblasting process, and got the steering wheel off. We went through the brakes, cleaned them out, as you knew. Found an issue with this one where someone had put shoes on it in the past, put the shoe on wrong, spring was messed up, got that corrected. I still may pull the drums off and have them turned, have some material taken off of them. There's a lip, and so I didn't really clean those up with my grinder just yet. I just got them on so I can cover up the brake mechanisms for paint and primer and paint. So we're pretty close to wiping this thing down. It's blown off twice. I went and redid the hubs, cleaned those up, put the lug nuts back on. I'm gonna go around and mask the tractor, and it's gonna be ready for prime. So go ahead and mask it. And I'm gonna replace all the rubbers, all the rubber boots here, 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 and here, all 4 joints there. Replace the shift boot, and I'll try to replace this steering column grommet, although they can be really difficult to get in, especially the way that rides right there. We may have to loosen the dash up just a bit to get that in, but we'll get that. Like I said before, we're replacing all the copper lines to the factory bent ones. That way there's no question they're gonna work right, and they will be out of the way. So, shaping up. I've got my sheet metal over here. It's been blasted, of course. Both pieces need some body work, so what I'm gonna do, I've got it blown off. I'm gonna wipe it down, and we're just gonna prime it today. Probably just one coat on that, so it doesn't flash rust, and it'll be ready for me to do a little body work. And I've got this high heat black paint, header paint, painting the manifold with that. That way it will be ready. So I'll put 2 or 3 coats on it. So it's coming along. Oh, I failed to mention I removed the manifold from the engine. I think I'm going to adjust the valves, but I've only got one valve cover. I forgot this is a split cover, and when I ordered the gasket, I wasn't thinking, so I'll just wait till she's painted. We'll pull them off. We'll adjust the valves on it, wait till I get the fan back on it so I can turn the engine a little easier, and we'll adjust the valves, put the manifold back on with new gasket, and it'll be ready to rock. So here we go. Today I'm going to show you how to mask these tractor tires to get ready for paint. There's many ways to do it. A lot of people do it. You know, they'll take and let the pressure out of the tire. They'll stick index cards all the way around, or playing cards, and then they'll, you know, mask the rest of the tire. A lot of people they'll smear grease or Vaseline on here and then wipe it off, clean it off later. Some people, like myself, will use masking tape and go around under the lip, all the way around in short pieces, and then go back and put a big wide piece and do it that way. Well, today, we're going to use a trash bag, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, I don't think my trash bags are going to be big enough for the rear tires to do it, but we can do it with the front tires for sure. And it's a pretty easy way. It's a little quicker than doing the tape. The tape takes a pretty good while to do. You got to do both sides, of course. And I'm going to show you how to use the trash bag. I'll probably end up doing the tape on this tire about that far up, and then I might get some masking paper and put over the rest of the tire. I may not. I might just try to be careful, but I really don't want to get paint on the tires, so we'll see how that goes. These tires are loaded with fluids, so they're really heavy, and they're awkward because just the balance will shift on you when you're trying to handle them. It would eat my masking paper up pretty badly, but we can still get it on there to paint them, so we'll see. So go ahead and get you a piece of plastic. I've got a trash bag here. I'm going to go ahead and make two sheets out of it. Now that we've got our tire blown off, let's sit it on the ground. And let's take one sheet of plastic that we made and just lay it over the tire. Try to center it up. Okay. It's pretty straight. It's pretty close. All right, once you've centered it up, let's find the center of the bag, which is going to be right there. We can grab it. Okay, so there's the center of our bag. Just hold the center of it, just pull down to choke it, and then you measure from the edge of your rim to the center of the hub. It can be approximate. You don't want to do too much. You would rather do too little. So let's just go ahead and cut that off right there where my thumb is. And you can discard that piece. And open your bag up, lay it out. And then there you go. Basically, all you've got to do now is tape it down. And you can take this plastic and stretch it if you need to. Honestly, I should let some of the air out of the tires. I don't have a valve stem tool on hand where I'm at. But what I'll do is I'll just go around it with the tape as my edge, and then I'll stretch the bag around it. I'll go ahead and stretch the bag now, a couple of directions. But you can see how this makes masking the tires quick and easy. It really, you don't have to fool with masking the actual rubber part of the tire. So this should go really well. I'll do the other side. I'll fold that in or cut it off one, run a bead of tape around the tire, and we'll be done. So there you go. There's one tire masked and ready for paint about 30 minutes later. So it's not too bad. Just takes a little time. Got both sides done. You can see I used the real thin masking tape around the edge in some places. It bends a little better, and it just doesn't cover, very much area. But that one's done, ready to go. We got one more to do, then we got to do the two big ones. Hey, so we're back. Now we're prepping all the parts to be primed. I'm simply taking a rag, doesn't have to be extremely clean. Just taking a rag with some acetone, just soaking the rag down and wiping everything down that's ready to paint. You want to wipe everything down. Acetone dries really fast, and it's really good to prep your parts and clean any kind of dust or oil off of them that might be still present.